Being born in a middle-class brown Desi household, there is one thing that everybody has to go through for sure. And that, my friends, is the craze for grades. Because the logic is that if you don't get top grades, then you won't get into a top university. And if you don't get into a top university, you won't get a high-paying job. And if your salary is not good enough, then no father will give their daughter's hand in marriage to you. And without a wife, there is no happy life. And this is where it started for me as well. I worked and I worked hard, and I worked even harder.
Carbohydrates, lipids and proteins.
And in the end, what happened? I lost my hair, and now no father is going to give me their daughter's hand in marriage anyway. What's cooking, sapiens? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Arham and I'm a 5th year medical student at the University of Oslo in Norway. Now let me tell you one thing for sure. If you are looking to get into medical school, law school, engineering school, or any school basically which requires a high GPA as a prerequisite, then by all means skip this video. No hard feelings, go do something else useful. This video is not for you. This video is more about success and how accurately can grades predict your chances of future life success. Especially when it comes to, let's say, O-levels or GCSEs in grade 10. If you don't get top grades, if you don't get, let's say, straight A's, what are your chances of succeeding at life? So I did my GCSE O-levels from Pakistan and actually worked super hard, and I ended up with 10 A's with 5 A stars, and I had like sciences, chemistry, physics, biology, and math. And the question is, what specific benefit did these grades provide me now that I think about this in retrospect? And the answer is zero. Because when I moved to Norway, nobody cared about what grades I had in like 9th grade or 10th grade or 11th grade. Nobody cared about that, Nobody even asked me once, hey Arham, what did you get in chemistry in your GCSEs? Not a single person asked me about these grades. And the question is, do I regret this? And the answer is actually twofold. Yes and no. So firstly, let's talk about why exactly do I regret this? And I feel that because, I think I could spend all that time, trying to learn other life skills which would have come in much more handy at this age, such as photography, learning to code, learning to make websites, maybe learning to make a business, reading content creation, or maybe even starting content creation at a very young age. And why exactly is that? This is the age when you actually have tons and tons of free time. You will never get the same amount of freedom ever again. In order to learn these skills, you don't have to go to a specific school. For example, you don't have to sit and go to an IT school in order to learn how to code. You can sit down, go to the internet, or even grab a IT coding book and actually learn to code by yourself. Or you could grab a camera and just start messing around with the camera, and boom, you suddenly know how to take good pictures. So these skills can actually be taught, like self-taught skills, which actually come in pretty handy at later stages in life, because these are practical skills involving diverse fields of expertise. And why exactly is that important? Well, obviously, first of all, you make your personality much more interesting by diversifying your skill set, number one. And secondly, research has also shown that networking is actually one of the most important factors when it comes to determining your commercial success, because these skills really expand your own personal portfolio and your social circle as well. For example, I'm a medical student, so I'll be a doctor by next year, right? So obviously I will know plenty of other people who also are doctors or are in the medical field as well. However, let's say if I knew how to code, then I would be having connections in the IT field as well, people who are into tech and stuff. Let's say I'm a photographer, then I can also get to know people who also are into photography and stuff like that. If I had learned music, I could also get to know musicians, and expand my portfolio even more. So by diversifying your skill set, you also get to interact with all these people from different backgrounds and fields. But the real question is, how exactly does this relate to life success? Let me explain, fam. Let me explain. Have some patience. Not much, just a little. So a lot of people talk about how success is 90% luck and just 10% hard work. And that is where the phrase, the harder I work, the luckier I get, comes into picture as well. Because believe it or not, you can actually control luck. You can increase the chances of you getting lucky. Because what happens when you have a bigger network and more connections is that you are inherently increasing the surface area of serendipity, and in other words, you're increasing the chances of you getting lucky. Let me give you a couple of examples to make this much more clear. So let's say I had started off with content creation at a much younger age. Let's say I started with YouTube 5, 6 or 7 years ago. Then by now I would have made, let's say, even more videos, like 200 more videos. And that means that I would have a greater chance of going viral because I have more videos now. So there's a greater probability that one of those videos actually hit, let's say, 1 million views, and by now I would have maybe had 1 million subscribers. Who knows? And also by this point I would have also gotten to know many more content creators, and that would give me more opportunities for, let's say, business ideas or even collaborations and stuff like that. One more example would be, let's say, if I knew how to code and how to make applications. Let's say I made an app which suddenly went viral, or maybe I could make a website of my own which I could use to put myself out there on the internet and hence make myself more accessible or more available to to the people who can actually make luck come to me. So essentially the idea is that, let's say you are throwing darts, right, and the bull's eye is much bigger than it normally is, then obviously the chances of the dart actually hitting the bull's eye will be much larger as well, because the surface area on where the dart can land is also bigger. The more you expose yourself to luck, the greater the chances of luck coming to you as well. If I just sat in my room and romanticized with my books all day long, then luck would probably never come knocking at my door either. And now let's talk about why I do not regret spending my early teenage years romanticizing with my books either. And that's because this is the period which really taught me how to set goals and really work super duper hard to achieve them as well. Because I had a very clear target, a very clear vision that I wanted to achieve straight A's. That's a different debate if those A's are actually useful in the practical life or not, but the point being that I had this goal, this vision which I wanted to achieve, and I worked my butt off to actually achieve that as well. So the point being that that exact hard work or that mentality can also be translated into all other aspects of life as well. So this mentality really contributed to my personality development in terms of setting goals and also working hard and trusting the process to achieving them as well. And this is when the art of being consistent comes in, because consistency can actually be learned. And the reason why I'm able to, let's say, churn out at least one video every single week for the past 2 years on YouTube despite not seeing tons of growth is because I have learned, or I have sort of mastered, the art of consistency. Mindset is everything. Now let's dissect and dig deeper into the relationship between top grades and your chances of life success. So I just finished reading this book called Barking Up the Wrong Tree by Eric Barker, and in one of the chapters Eric goes through one study conducted by Boston College in the US. Researchers tracked two groups of students. In the first group you had 81 valedictorians, aka top performers, students who always got top grades, had a very high GPA, and were sort of bound to be successful in terms of traditional definitions of success. And in the other group you had average students with an average GPA. Now these students were actually tracked for 15 years, and guess what? None of those 81 valedictorians actually managed to find something or do something which would end up changing the world. Yes, they had some decent commercial success in terms of having a decent job, having a decent salary, a good family, a good car, that's it. However, none of them did anything that was earth-shattering that could change the whole world. None of them. Meanwhile, surprisingly enough, numerous students or people from the other group of average students gained spots in the Forbes 400 list, the 400 richest men in America. Now, what exactly can we learn from this? The point that Eric Barker wanted to make was that valedictorians are mostly good at following the rules. So our schooling system makes excellent sheep, not excellent thinkers. On the other hand, the average students get good at thinking outside the box and breaking some rules and going against societal expectations, which eventually lead them to changing the society as a whole. However, there is a huge caveat to this. The difference being that valedictorians will earn good money, will have a decent job, will have a good family, a nice car, that's it. They will not be at the top of the pyramid. They will be somewhere in the middle having a decent, comfortable life. However, on the other hand, those average students will either be at the top of the food chain, at the top of the mountain, earning tons of money, being billionaires or millionaires, or they will be at the bottom of the food chain and not earning enough money. So the point being that grades give you security and not hyper success. It's 2022 and it's time to be street smart, because there are tons of things which school will never teach you, like investing, like crypto, like money making, business, how to get good at human interactions, how to influence people, how to be leaders and stuff like that. However, it's never too late, because there is tons of stuff to be reading upon, a lot of books, a lot of documentaries, a lot of YouTube channels which you can follow to get all this knowledge and improve your own personalities. That's a wrap for today's Sapiens. Now here is another video which you will surely find valuable. Now before leaving, kiss that subscribe button. I'll see you guys on the other side. Take care. Peace.